Well, I first met Robert Redford in 1994. It was the first year I covered the festival for the Tribune. One thing that was striking about Robert Redford was that he was very good at being Robert Redford, and he was very good at making you feel good about being in the presence of Robert Redford. Obviously, when you meet him, you're nervous because he's super famous and impossibly good looking and all the other things. But he was very good at putting you at ease with the idea that, yes, you're going to be sitting there talking to Robert Redford, but you're not going to waste time being nervous about talking to Robert Redford. He's going to help you get in there and talk about the things you want to talk about the stories you want to tell, what kind of movie you want to make. And he was amazing at that. Robert Redford grew up in Southern California, which helped in a way to sort of demystify Hollywood, because he was right there in Santa Monica and he knew what it was about already. He had this way of sort of accumulating friends along the way. On his first movie called War Hunt, World War II movie, one of the actors he worked with was a guy named Cindi Berger, and they become great friends. And Cindi went on to become a director and directed Bob in 7 movies, including Out of Africa, including 3 Days of the Condor. And of course, probably the most famous pairing that Redford had was with Paul Newman. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, the movie that made Redford a star and gave him the name Sundance to use on all of the things he's associated with. The studio didn't want Redford in that role. They wanted somebody a little bit more famous. And Paul Newman went to bat for him. He said, "I want the kid. I want an actor." That solidified Redford's career. And 4 years later, Redford and Newman paired again, and at that point, Redford was the biggest star in Hollywood, and Newman was kind of on the outs. He was on the downswing, and Redford insisted that he put Newman in there, and that's how they made The Sting, which then won Best Picture. When he was a young actor in New York, he met Lola Van Wagenen, who was a Utah native. They fell in love, they got married, they had 4 children, and she introduced him to Utah, and he fell in love with it. He bought a 2-acre plot of land down in Provo Canyon, built a cabin on it, and it became his refuge. It became a place for him to get away from Hollywood. Redford used to say, "Other people have therapy, I have Utah." As he got more famous and got more money, he bought more land. He bought the Timp Haven ski resort, little ski resort down in Provo Canyon, and he developed it and he renamed it after his most famous movie role. That's the Sundance Resort that still exists. Sundance's Utah roots have been deep and wide, and when he created the Sundance Institute in 1981, it was a place to foster independent filmmakers, get independent voices to be able to tell their stories, and it was a great sort of workshop for filmmakers. And after about 4 years, they decided, well, okay, we're developing these movies at the Sundance Institute. Now we need a place to show them. So he looked around, and there was a small film festival in Park City, the U.S. Film Festival, and Sundance took that over in 1985 as a showcase, as a place to show independent films. And it grew and grew, and then from there on, people knew this was the place to bring your movie and possibly sell it. The people at the Institute will joke that Redford had a very flexible relationship with time. There was a running joke about Redford Standard Time, that whenever he showed up, that's when the appointment started. I encountered that early on. One of the first times I went down to the Sundance Resort, to his office cabin to interview him, I waited for a bit, and his assistant brought out a small tub of oatmeal peanut butter cookies from the restaurant at the Sundance Resort, and they called them "Waiting for Bob" cookies. So they knew, and they dealt with it. The funny thing is that I barely got 3 bites into the cookie, and he showed up, and he was actually on time.